2 weeks down, 50 more to go. Time to celebrate with a drink. Cheers. Welcome back, everybody, to the weekly Navel-Gazing, where we talk about last week, all the books I read, all the things I didn't do, and so forth. And I have a bit of a look into what will happen this week, and we'll just do the usual thing before I descend into weird rambling. So let's have a look at all the books I read last week. Well, I did read the Summer Tree and most of The Wandering Fire by Guy Gavriel Kay. I'm really enjoying them so far. They're awesome. I like them a lot. And I finished my current reread of The Two Towers and started a reread of The Return of the King. And those are obviously also fantastic, and they do work really well together with the Guy Gavriel Kay stuff. The Fianna Fáil tapestry does have a lot of, connections to Tolkien's work. Guy Gavriel Kay famously helped Christopher Tolkien edit The Silmarillion, so there's direct influences there that are really interesting to look at, and they certainly. The Tolkien stuff did already put me in the right frame of mind or mood, I guess, to read something as traditionally fantastic as the Fianna Fáil tapestry. It just works right now. I'm very happy about that. I know I have something of a reputation that I read a lot of stuff that I don't like and get really angry about it. It's like, you know what? I actually enjoy reading something that is nice. Just nice for once. So that's what I've been doing there. I've also been reading non-fiction stuff. I've read the Blackwell Companion to J.R.R. Tolkien for reasons. And I've enjoyed parts of it. Parts of it made me really angry because Tolkien scholarship, I don't know, man. There's something to talk about there. There might be a video in it or two. We will see. So that's also something that I read last week, and I'll see, how I'll continue down that road. Which obviously leads us to the questions like, what am I going to read this week? And it's, kind of interesting with these shorter books, how many books I've already read. According to Goodreads, I've read 10 books, finished 10 books in 2023 already, which is 10% of my reading challenge goal kind of thing. I assume this will slow down once I get into, bigger books, because right now those are, not very long books. Speaking of bigger books, something that I'll have to read this week, I'll obviously finish The Wandering Fire, probably today, maybe earlier tomorrow, and then I'll obviously continue to The Darkest Road, I think is the third one, but I also very much have to read the Wisdom of Crowds, the last book in the First Law universe, except for the short story collection Sharp Ends, which I haven't read yet. And the reason, of course, is the buddy read with Jolene from Jolene Reads, and we'll have us a conversation about that, which we'll talk about when we talk about the videos. So that's certainly what I plan to read this week, both of those books. Possibly I'll then continue with my Guy Gavriel Kay things. The conversation with Reads by the Rainy Mountain has unfortunately been postponed to later, so yeah, we'll see. That too will happen at some point. So yeah. And we'll talk about it. So there might be me rereading some Philip K. Dick instead. We will see. But definitely Wisdom of Crowds has to happen this week. And I want to continue with Guy Gavriel Kay. I also continue with my reading of nonfiction around the larger theme of, fantasy, history of fantasy, Tolkien, stuff like that. I have a book on contemporary Celtic mythology in contemporary children's fantasy. Idealization, Ideology, and Identity by Dimitra Femi, and I'm going to look into that because it does interest me in a lot of ways. There's more stuff down that road, but we'll see where this will go when I've read enough of it. So these are the reading plans. What about videos and stuff? Well, I did end up finally making the Prague Cemetery video, so I'm glad that actually happened. It took me a long time, but I was fairly happy with the structure of the video once it was done. I could have talked about more things, but it just, at that point, it just felt like every new attempt would not necessarily be better, just slightly different, and I just went with that one. So I'm very happy with the result of the video and like just getting more comfortable with how I structure things. So that's something that I appreciate, and it's a great book. I love the book, so talking about it was fun. And then I put up the conversation we had with Philip and Joanna and Jimmy Nuts on Fantasy Network on the thousandfold thought, which is so hard to say when you have a lisp like me. Just say. Anyway, I put that one up, and it was, I had a lot of fun with the conversation. I know it's a bit partly confrontative, but it's a book that lends itself to be argued about, I feel. And yeah, I see from comments and stuff, people are interested in that conversation, even though not everyone is agreeing with me, which I understand. So that one was up, and then I had a very personal video yesterday about stuff that happened last week, and I was debating whether to put that video up or not, and in the end, I felt like, yeah, putting it up is a good idea, because it does, maybe someone else can take something out of it, and from the comments that I've seen so far, yes, some of you appreciated that, and I do really appreciate those of you who watched it and put their words down there in the comments. That means a lot, because this is, a tough thing. And I'm certainly not over it. So that's the videos for last week, which brings us to what will happen this week. Well, we'll talk with Jolene about the wisdom of crowds and probably the entirety of the first law next Sunday. That's the 22nd at 8 p.m. 8 p.m. my time. That is Central European time, I guess. So it's on Jolene's channel. I'll share it once the conversation has been set up and everything, and I'm looking forward to it. It should be fun. I've enjoyed the Age of Madness trilogy a lot, and talking more about Abercrombie is always fun. Talking with Jolene is always fun, so I'm looking forward to that. If you have time, it's a live stream. Show up there and yell at us with questions about I don't know. Unladen swallows, possibly. So that's going to happen. And the current plan is to have the conversation with Varsha on Sunday at 8 in the morning. So I'll have to get up early to have that conversation, and then we'll see what happens to that. It'll be about, Philip K. Dick and Lavi Tidar and stuff like that. Science fiction more. And I'm excited to have that conversation. Really excited. So that will also happen. But I have no idea what happens with the video, and I think, whether it'll end up on this channel or on Varsha's channel, I don't know. We'll find out. We'll figure it out. But, if you haven't subscribed to Raised by the Rainy Mountain, then you should definitely do that, and I'll link the channel down below. And then you'll not miss that conversation, and I'm sure will be a conversation that you don't want to miss. So do I have to, plans to actually record videos this week? Well, I don't know. Frankly, I don't. So I'm thinking about how to talk about the Fiona Bard Tapestry by Guy Gabriel Kay. I'll definitely talk about it. But I'm still wondering whether it's smarter to talk about each book individually or talk about the entire trilogy in one video. I'm still making up my mind on it. I might go with the, one video per book, because it might just work better. I have an idea there where I want to go with this and how I could split up the things that I want to talk about thematically. And, talk about its relationship to other fantasy books, and then talk about its relationship to mythology, and then talk about, ideas of art in general in the third part. But for that, I would probably have to start the third part to see if that still makes sense. We will see. It's an idea, and I definitely plan to do other videos once I think of them. I will try to continue work on the anti-Semitism project. Of course I will. See, I started recording on Saturday, and then it didn't work. Obviously last week my brain wasn't always in the right place to have serious conversations about something as complicated as this, as the topic, but I also, I had to, I started recording to get back into the rhythm, but then my neighbor's kid, which is yelling again. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's like right behind the wall next to my to my bed in this room, started screaming, and it's very difficult to talk about the changes in Gentile attitudes towards Jews in the 17th century with a small kid yelling at the top of their lungs for like 5 minutes straight. So I broke off with that, and I'll try to repeat it. Maybe I'm getting closer to how I want to formulate the whole thing. Structuring is always difficult with these parts of this video, but as I said, I want to continue this. I want to finish this. This is very difficult for me in a lot of ways, because it's so much at this point. So much rides on the outcome of this video for like me, and I'm worried about that. Because I've always talked about how me having struggling with ADHD is like, I find a topic I want to talk about and I have to do it immediately. Now, obviously, this topic is rather complicated and complex, and so building a video that's made up of individual parts that I am slowly building into one large project is quite a challenge for me. It worked pretty well for like the first couple of weeks when I recorded the first 3 parts, and I'm really happy. And then the holiday break came, which usually draws me, away from stuff. I visit my parents, I visit family, visit friends. I stop working on stuff, and then there's this huge black hole I always fall into at the beginning of the year, and I need to return to this to the project, because I can feel my energy and my focus moving and slipping. Because part of the research that I'm doing right now, the things that I'm looking at with the anti-Semitism stuff, kind of moved over into like the history of fantasy literature in a lot of ways, because that's important somehow. Don't worry, it'll all become clear at some point. But so that's where my focus, my enthusiasm, and like energy right now is more in like Tolkien scholarship and the history of fantasy and shit like that, and that's fascinating. But I don't want to leave that project unfinished, because issues, right? Like, remember last year I talked about having this larger video project? I actually did start that video project, and I recorded like 2 or 3 parts of it, and then I just abandoned it because, I lost momentum. And then it just didn't go anywhere. So it's still lying around there, and it's unfinished, and I don't know if I'll ever finish it, because parts of what I wanted to do there I've said in other videos in the meantime, so I don't know. But that is obviously a sense of failure for me, because, like, there's this idea that we obviously, or me at least, connect a lot of like self-worth, or whatever you want to call it, to the projects that we make. In this case, this channel, and it's important to kind of, make sure that you're connecting these ideas to the things that you can actually control, and not the things that you can't control, which is, for example, like looking at view numbers or even channel, subscribers or subscriber numbers as goals is actually really bad, because what it means at the end of the day is like, I have no control. I can't make you subscribe. Also, please like and subscribe, but I can't make you do that. I don't have control over that. So it should be goals that I can control, right? It's like, make 1 video per week or whatever you want, goals that I have some sort of control over. And so if I fail those, it hits all the harder, because I can't even say like, it wasn't my fault, the numbers were just bad or whatever. It's like, no, I started this large project and I didn't finish it, and that feels like failure. And I'm sure like artists know that problem all too well. I guess most of us know the problem of like having, starting projects and abandoning them, and then feeling bad for doing so. We all know that. And, with me generally struggling a lot with the idea of responsibility, or failing responsibility, and failing expectations and whatnot. If I fail my own expectations, even in such things like this, it hits hard. So I'm desperately struggling to finish this video because, yeah, if I don't, like, what is there? You know what I mean? It's like, should I ever start any larger video project because apparently I'm not able to finish them? Stuff like that. So I'm trying to get back into the rhythm of finishing these videos, but I don't know how long it'll take. I hope it'll be done soon. I want to move on. I want to focus on the next part, whatever that may be. But, you know, it'll probably still take a while because I want to do it right. I want to make the parts of the video work. There's, in my mind, there's at least 3 parts that I still need to make, possibly 4, I don't know. I can't do one of them every day. There's the chance that I'll record one today and then re-record it tomorrow because suddenly I see clearer what the issue is or how I want to phrase something, and then it'll take longer, and I don't know. So I hope I'll get through this as quickly as possible. For my own sake, more than anything else at this point. Yeah, we will see. But as I said, it strikes very close, and that's what I meant. Like, I've probably bound up too much of my, you know, general well-being, mental health, whatever you want to call it, with, you know, the success of that project. And success in this case does, first and foremost, only mean me finishing the project. Me finishing the video, that's success. Would I be really, really excited if, you know, people watched it and found it good? Of course I would, but I can't, you know, guarantee that I can just do the best that I can. But the best that I can would still mean finish the damn video. So that's what I'll try to do. And maybe I'll come up with like a concise thing that I want to say about Tolkien scholarship in the meantime, because, you know, I can always rant, and there's certainly material for ranting in the way Tolkien scholarship is handled sometimes. And we'll see. I've got ideas, is what I'm saying. So that's all I have right now. I hope you had a good week. I hope you read some brilliant books. I hope you plan to read some even more brilliant books, and do fun things with friends, and, you know, have a good time, and all of that stuff. And I'll try to, you know, keep going, which is all we can do at this point, I guess. Anyway, thanks for staying. Thanks for watching. As always, have fun. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, cheers.